let's add some easing to our keyframes to make our animation a little bit more interesting. So if you don't know what I'm talking about easing, let me just show you a quick example that I've set up. So I have two shapes that are going to move just across the screen. And right now you can see that they have these little diamond keyframes. And those are linear keyframes. So if you go into your graph editor, just select your keyframes first, go into your graph editor, you can see a graph of the position of the keyframes over time. So since this line is straight, it means that they have the same speed the whole time. And the nice thing about the graph editor is that you can actually see different kinds of graphs. So this is the value over time, and this is the speed over time. You can see here that the speed is a constant, like 540 pixels per second. So easing is when your animation is not linear. So I'm just going to ease these keyframes on the purple circle. So I'm just going to highlight the keyframes, right click, go down to Keyframe Assistant, and then Easy Ease, or the shortcut is F9. So now you'll see that I have a different shape of keyframe, kind of like an hourglass. And if I play this back, you'll see that at first the purple circle is going slowly, then it speeds up. You can see that because it catches up with the other one, and then it goes slow again. If I look at that in the graph editor, I can see that it has this nice arc on the speed graph. So it's starting out slow, going fast in the middle, and ending out slow. You can also look at the graph of the value over time if that's easier for you to understand. And if you're wondering why there's two lines here, the red line represents the X position and the green line represents the Y position. And since I don't have any movement in the Y axis up and down, that's why that line is straight. It's not changing. So this is what putting easing on your keyframes means. And you can adjust the easing too. So one way to do that is to go into your graph editor by clicking this button right here. And then you can click on this graph and actually adjust the handles. So now, let's play this back. It's going to go really fast and then really slow. So you can adjust these in whatever way you want. So this is shoots out and then goes real slow. Or it starts slow and then it goes fast. So let's ease the keyframes on our lettering. So I'm just going to click and drag over all of my keyframes to select them. Then right click, Keyframe Assistant, Easy Ease. And let's just play that back. So it's looking a little bit more interesting. One thing we can do is just adjust the graph editor. And let's go to the speed graph. And then I'm going to click and drag at the bottom of the graphs to select all of these points. And then just take the little handle and drag it to the left. And let's get that about, how about like that. And then we're going to take the other handle and drag it back just a bit. Now let's see what that looks like. So I'm liking what that looks like. So now I'm going to move on to the word lettering. So again, I'm just going to click and drag over all my keyframes to select them, then right click on any of the keyframes, go to Keyframe Assistant, and Easy Ease. Let's just take a look at what this looks like. Alright, I think it's a little bit fast because all of this whole chunk of letters is connected, so it's going pretty fast in the middle of those letters. So I'm just going to go into these keyframes in the graph editor and just take this down a little bit. So I'll make it a little bit more linear. And I'm holding down the Shift key to make sure that I don't move this handle up or down. And I'll do the same thing at the end. So I'll make the handles about the same size. So go ahead and add easing to your keyframes. Now I know that the graph editor can be a little bit intimidating if After Effects is new to you, so remember that you can always use those presets, and those are if you just select your keyframes, go down to Keyframe Assistant, and then Easy Ease. And there's actually a couple of other presets that you can use, which are Easy Ease In and Easy Ease Out. So first I'm going to just set these back to linear keyframes to make sure that I'm not combining any easing. So to do that, I'm just going to have them selected and then click on a keyframe while holding Command, and that'll just set your keyframes back to linear keyframes. And then with those keyframes selected, I'm going to right click, go to Keyframe Assistant, and then Easy Ease In. And then I'm going to go to the graph editor so we can look at what that did. So what I see here is that it's going to start animating pretty quickly, kind of linear at the beginning, and then at the end it's going to taper off and slow down. And so if I just undo that, and then I'm going to show you what Easy Ease Out looks like. And that's just the opposite. So it starts off slow, ramps up, and then at the end it's linear. So you can always use those 3 different presets if you don't want to mess with the graph editor, but I do recommend mastering the graph editor because it can really enhance your animations.